Let's get this thing started. Welcome to today's conversation, guys. My name is ER with Elify. I'm joined with my partner, Guy Toole. This is Thursday Roundtable discussion where we take an opportunity to talk about a business topic, business subject, something that's going to help us accelerate forward in our objectives, and then open this up for a roundtable conversation for the Elify community members who've joined us live. So if you're watching this and you want to join us live, make sure you check out those Zoom links. If you missed it, put comments down in this video replay, and we'll make sure to get those to you with our Week at a Glance card. We love the participation from the Elify community because we know when we all collaborate, we all achieve more. So with that being said, Guy, we kicked off Monday sprint planning for anybody who saw that with a discussion about this one thing. You know, if we could get started and be relentlessly consistent on one thing at a time, we could start making forward progress. And a lot of us fail to do one of those two things: get started first and foremost, right? We've got the plan, we've laid it out, we know what we need to do, but then we procrastinate and we fail to get started. Or we get started, sometimes we even turn the dial up to 12, and then we don't stay consistent, right? We maybe even take on too much, burn ourselves out, and then we're right back to where we began. And I was thinking about that one thing and reflecting back in my morning meditation about, in my life, what has that one thing consistently been? And how could I share that with everybody as maybe just a tip of something to look at? And I was really trying to think at a high level, what's my one thing? And I'm going to pose this question to you, Guy, as well. But my one thing is applied knowledge. And I want to talk about that just for a second. Applied knowledge, guys. And here's why, even though that's pretty broad, in my opinion, it's probably one of the most important one things there is. And the reason for that is we talk about a path to success all the time. We have so many people who are working on going from where they are to where they want to get to. And we understand that they have to have a plan, right? They have to know that they can achieve their plan. And then they have to be consistent in implementing their plan. But the plan and executing of a plan requires a few things, right? You've got to have skills, knowledge, and tools. And at Elify, we do a great job providing some amazing tools. But if you don't have the knowledge and skills, and then most importantly, if you don't apply them once you acquire them, you're at a massive disadvantage. And so anytime I do something new, when I'm getting started, I try to educate myself to the best of my ability, right? Like, can I learn from other people's experiences so I don't have to go through the school of hard knocks to learn it myself? And then can I take that knowledge that I've gained or those skills that I've developed and will continue to develop over time and apply them and then be consistent on the application of that knowledge? So for me, that one thing is knowledge applied. And I want to, and it popped in my head this morning, for one reason only, and just sort of sitting back on this, I'm thinking about this. We're here in Colorado. It's a snow day up here. For anybody who knows Colorado, who knows how many inches of snow we're going to get. And I was talking with my wife. We were sitting down, having breakfast, enjoying coffee, looking out over the snow. And she had gotten a text message from a friend who spent 90 minutes commuting into work this morning. 90 minutes. Anybody who turns on the local news, it's always crash this and slow down that and icy roads and be safe. And yet a majority of Coloradans are waking up every morning to start up their cars, to get on the road, to all collectively drive together to some location and put in a good day's work. And look, I'm going to put in a good day's work as well. But to me, it seems like they're at a disadvantage. 90 minutes, man, today they're going to put in 3 hours commuting. And again, I was in my morning meditation. I was giving gratitude, and I was so grateful because up until maybe 30 minutes before this call, I was doing family time, which is very important to me, right? Got the kids up, had breakfast, sat around, drank coffee with the wife, had this discussion, was going through my morning routine, and I felt so blessed because my commute is down the hall. It's not down the street. It's not all the way downtown. It's down the hall, right? That's location freedom. I don't have to get in a car for 90 minutes. I can sleep in 30 more minutes and still apply an hour to work before they even get in. That's knowledge applied, resulting in that benefit. And I just couldn't lose sight of that on how many people are doing that because they think that that's the only way. And when you start to open up your eyes and gain knowledge, and we all know knowledge is power, we start to see that there are other ways to do things. In fact, there are even better ways to do things. And we talk about success a lot within the Elify community, and we talk about these 3 pillars of success. I think a lot of people online, they only focus on the singular pillar of financial success. But when I was reflecting, it was more about that time freedom and that location freedom that comes along with doing things a little bit differently. And the only way I arrived at this location, the way that we arrived at this location, was gaining the knowledge and understanding that that was even possible. And probably the biggest piece of knowledge that, and then I'll throw it over to you, Guy, if you want to talk about your one thing, but the biggest piece of knowledge that I would encourage everybody who's looking for time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom is to elevate your financial IQ. Because, that's something we've been working on with the kids here. I've got 2 young children, right, 4 and 7, and we're learning about money and earning money and saving money and investing money and all of these things that I want to implement early on so that they can develop that financial education that will carry them on through the rest of their life. And I was reflecting on that because that's what has led to the time freedom, the location freedom, the financial freedom that we've been so blessed to experience in our life, Guy. And there are so many people who are never going to get a chance to go down that path because their eyes are essentially closed to it. And if we can open our eyes, gain that knowledge, and then apply that knowledge, it can be so much more powerful. And the financial IQ stuff doesn't have to be massive. That knowledge itself is very simple. We talked about cash flow, right? That's one thing. If you're watching this, write this down. Cash flow. We talked about the income statement. That's the inflow and the outflow of your cash flow. And we talked about the balance sheet, right? What are the pluses and minuses on the books? At a high level, 50,000 foot, it doesn't get any more complex than that, right? And the only thing you have to remember to win that game, and that's what I like about knowledge, right? If you're playing a game, you learn about the game, you learn the rules of the game, you learn how to play the game, and then you optimize the way you play. So all you have to remember is if you have more going out than you have coming in, then your excess is going to be your downfall. That's the old saying. So all you have to do is monitor that and then work on different ways to either reduce or limit the outflows if possible, or turn on the inflows. I mean, those are the 2 variables. When you start breaking it down into its mechanics, Guy, and a lot of people don't, or were never taught that in school, or, my financial education growing up was 6th grade. They gave us a fake checkbook and everybody went around writing their friends $1 million checks and trying to keep a ledger on the back. There just wasn't there. So you have to take it upon yourself to get that knowledge in whatever you're doing. And then you have to turn around and apply that knowledge and be consistent with that. Anyways, I'm going to get off my soapbox, Guy, for today. You go on ahead, add anything or thoughts that you have on the one thing, and then we'll open this up to the internal group and have a conversation.
We're so in line always. I mean, from the aspect of coming into conversations and expressing and feeling the same exact thing. I love the music, Brenda.
Sorry.
No worries. No worries. And happy Thursday to everybody. Like Eard mentioned, we get to decide what we want when we want to do a certain amount of things. And also here in Colorado, the weather sort of dictates what we get to do. Not have to do, right, ER? That's how we always look at things. We get to shovel this driveway, the walk, making sure that none of your neighbors, if they're out for a walk, are slipping and you're liable because they're on your property. So making sure that some of those things are taken care of. You talked about learned knowledge, and I think that's something so prevalent that it is important for everyone to understand, for everyone to know that that's where things can really reduce timeframes in advancing and moving forward in different businesses and opportunities, and time freedom, figuring out how I can get my time freedom, my location freedom, but obviously the financial freedom aspect, the financial IQ, doing those different types of things. ER, we talk about a lot, and I think a lot of people, no matter where they are in their life, have problems.
Mm-hmm.
problems are a part of life. But facing them and problem solving it's more of an art of life.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to get through a problem and using applied knowledge from someone else that can support you, right? Work smarter, not harder. There's other people out there. I think back to my coaching days of talking with teenagers that they feel they're the only ones that have ever faced what they're going through, and to understand that they can get through what they're going through because as a teacher, as a coach, you've gone through some of the exact same things. And being able to have those types of conversations with them and show that there is a way through it as that art of life. I think my one thing, and you all know me, I do research, I read, I listen, I take inspiration from other people, is knowing the difference and applying it for me from intensity versus consistency. When looking at business, we see it all the time. You can do a search and see how many new businesses start a day, how many new relationship marketing businesses start a year, and they start with some massive intensity, right? Yep. It's like taking a bouncy ball and throwing that thing on the ground as hard as you can and just watching it sort of peter out, though.
Yeah.
Instead of having something that is consistent and continually moves forward. And what was the movie Tin Cup, where he's like, I can outdrive you. And the first guy steps up and hits it and goes like 350 yards. And he sits there and barely hits it and whacks it down the road.
Yeah.
And it just consistent down, and it just keeps on going. And, from that scene, you don't know how far it went. Yeah. But the consistency of that. And I think looking at our lives and our daily aspects is having it planned out and being consistent with it. Yeah. We know there's days that are going to come where yesterday, totally out of pocket, things came that stars aligned that my wife and I we had appointments we had to do. And yesterday was the day that times worked for us to get them done. Had the ability to do that because you have a great partner in ER, and we've got other people behind the scenes taking care of things, and know things are in great hands. And understanding that we also aren't always in control of our lives, right? Things come up. But giving up control, I think, gives us power. Maybe it's a thought of mine, and I'm the only one that thinks it, but giving up control gives us power because we know that there's others there for support. I don't have to sit down, and yesterday, ER, you had 2 Zooms. I didn't have to say, in the car, I need to jump on this one. I get a message from ER says, focus on your things. We got it covered. Like giving up control. I don't have to be on those things. Yeah. And knowing that also sometimes that happens in our daily aspects of, a meeting or something I have to do. Like I get out of my own way. Jeff, to your point, writing swipe copy. Sometimes it's just get out of my own way, just write it down, let it flow, let it come out, and then piece it back together later. I think is so much. ER and I are on multiple little things that we're working on right now. And it's basically like, just get it all out. Yep. And then we'll get it back together. Yep. That's obviously what we've done here at Elify, from the aspect of we've got a version out there and we're now piecing it all back together on what the grand vision of it was, to bring it back to say, hey, there's something to this. We can look at the data on what's being used, what's not being used, what is a simpler path, click economy, reducing those types of things. Kathy pointed out on our Tuesday training, a quicker way to share now, a quicker way to add contacts. Those are things that we just look at the data and say, hey, here's friction because someone gets to this point and they stop. Mm-hmm. And we get the ability to understand that because we have the keys to the castle, but also making it so everything within Elify is simplified for anyone else, that when they step in, they know a solution's going to have their back. It's going to be reliable. It's going to help them move forward. And that if they use it consistently, mm-hmm. it will advance them and help with that financial education. It'll help with your marketing information. It'll help build networks and communities and allowing it to be in control for you.
Well, I love that idea of intensity versus consistency, applied knowledge, et cetera. I know there's a lot of one things out there, and I'm looking forward to hearing from other people in the community about their one thing. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop this live stream. Hopefully you got something great out of this, something you can apply right now today in your life that's going to take you to the next level. And we hope you want to join the conversation. So check out the links for the week at a glance. We do multiple calls per week, and we want to hear from you. So we're going to close this down.